Hello everyone, you are welcome to today's class. So in this class, we want to look at direct and indirect proportions. So we'll be looking at the following objectives. We want to look at the meaning of direct proportion and examples on it. Then we look at meaning of indirect proportion and examples on it. Then we look at the last one, which is reciprocal. Exactly. So that is what we want to check on this. So when we talk about direct proportion, we just concluded ratio. So we want to look at it. So when we talk about direct proportion, what is the meaning of direct proportion? Direct proportion is when you have two quantities. As one quantity is increasing, the other quantity will also be increasing. And as the quantity is also decreasing, the other quantity will also be decreasing. So what do I mean by that? For example, let's take it to real life. So if the price of a product, for example, is increasing, let's say it's increasing from 5 naira to what? To 10 naira. As a producer, you'll be willing to sell more at this price. So that means you want to produce more so that you make more profit. So this means that the production what will increase because the price has already what increased. Is that clear? Now another thing is that if let's look at the more you do something, distance. If you look at distance and time, they also have direct proportion. The higher the distance, the higher the time taken to cover the distance. So as distance increases, the time will also be increasing. So that is what we refer to as what? Direct proportion. And one thing about direct proportion is that the ratio of that proportion is always constant. So if you have this one is 510, so when the price increases from 5 to 10, the quantity increases from, let's say, 2 to 2, let's say 1 to 2. So the ratio of this one must be equal to the ratio of this one. This one also gives you 1 to 10, 1 to 2, and 1 to 2. So let's look at examples on direct proportion. We have the first one. If 20 books cost 12,500 naira, what is the cost of 80 similar books? Now 20 books cost this. What is the cost of 80 similar books? There are two methods of solving this, right? So we're going to have two methods to solve these two. So the first method, the question number 1, method 1. So we have ratio method, and then we also have unit method, unitary method. That's method 2. We have ratio method and ratio method and the unitary method. So I said something earlier on that the ratio of direct proportion are always the same. This one must be equal to this. Now let's interpret this. If 20 books cost 12,500 naira, so 20 books equals to 12,500 naira. Now what is the cost of 80 similar books? So 80 books now is what we are looking for, equals to the cost of it. Let it be what? X. Let it be X. So in this case, we are going to add ratio of cost to ratio of what? Books. So ratio of cost now, that will be X to 12,500 must be equal to the ratio of this one, which is 80 to what? 20. You understand? So in this case, we can, ratio, we have treated ratio before. So ratio can be written as fraction. That will be X over what? 12,500 equals to 80 divided by what? 20. Is that clear? So 0 cancels 0. Then 2 here 1, 2 here what? 4. So we have this multiplier, that will be X equals to 4 times 12,500. So that gives what? 50,000. When you multiply, you get 50,000. That is the cost of, that means the cost of 80 similar books similar books is 50,000 naira. I hope this is clear. But we want to use unitary method. Unitary method is that we want to get the cost of one book. Cost of one book. Since 20 books is 12,500. So one book now. So what will be the cost of one book? That is 12,000 divided by what? 20. 12,500 divided by what? 20. 0 cancels 0. 2 here 1, 2 here 6, 2 here 2, remainder 1, that is 5. That is 625 naira. That is one book costs 625 naira. So what will now be the cost of 80 books? So 80 books in this case will then be what? 80 multiplied by 625 naira. And by the time you multiply it, 625 multiplied by 80, so let's say 8, that is 0, 0, 0. 40, carry 1. 16 plus this, 20, carry 2. 48 plus 2, that is 50. That is 0, 0, 0, 0, 5. That is 50,000 naira. So which is the same thing as what we have here. As you can see, same thing as 50,000 naira. So either of the two methods, if you can use ratio method or use unitary method, you still arrive at the same what? Answer. So let's look at the second example and see how this one goes. Example 2 now. A boy cycled 54 kilometers in 3 hours. How far does he cycle in 10 hours? So let's analyze the question first. So a boy cycled 54 kilometers. So 54 kilometers in 3 hours. In 3 hours. And how far does he cycle in 10 hours? That is, we are looking for how many kilometers will he cycle in 10 hours. So that is, let's the kilometer, the distance here, let it be x. So we use the ratio method as well. So we can say 54 to x, then 3 to what? To 10. Then we take it to fraction. That is 54 divided by x equals to 3 divided by 10. When you cross multiply, you have 3x. So 3x is equal to what? 54 multiplied by what? 10. Divide both sides by what? 3 by 3. 3 cancel 3. 3 here 1, 3 here 1, remainder 2 in 24. 8. So we have 180 what? Kilometers. So which means the boy will cycle 180 kilometers. The boy will cycle 180 kilometers in 10 hours. In 10 hours. So let's now see unitary method. Let's look at how unitary method will look like. So since the boy cycled 54 kilometers in 3 hours. So in 1 hour, 54 kilometers equals to 3 hours. So in 1 hour, so how many will he cycle in 1 hour? That would 54 divided by 3. Right? 54 divided by 3. So that is going to be, we did that's 18 kilometers. So 18 kilometers. So in 10 hours, that will be 18 times 10, which is what? 180 what? Kilometers. As you can see, this is very simple. Question on direct proportion is very straightforward and very simple. So what you just need to do, because by the time we look at indirect proportion now, we now be asking, how am I going to know that this question is on direct proportion and this one is on indirect? Because it's one of the problems that students have. So, and I will tell you how you're going to determine that before the end of this video. Just make sure you watch the video till the end, and I will tell you how to spot. Okay, this one is on direct proportion, and this one is on what? Indirect proportion. So let's move to indirect proportion. Indirect proportion is the same thing as inverse proportion. You can refer to it as inverse proportion, right? Now, before we continue, I need to explain something here. If you look at the answer we finished now, when the guy cycled 54 kilometers in 3 hours, now cycled 180 kilometers in 10 hours. you notice that when the number of hours increases, what happens to the number of kilometers covered is also increased. That shows that this is what direct proportion. But if it is inverse proportion or indirect proportion, so what you're going to notice is that as one quantity or as one variable is increasing, the other one will be decreasing. They will be moving in different directions. As one is increasing, another one is decreasing. As one is decreasing, the other one is what? Increasing. That is one thing about inverse or indirect proportion. Now, let's now look at question and how to solve it. So we also use the same. We use. I'd rather you stick to unitary method in this case. Now, the first one is that 12 women can harvest a cassava farm in 20 days. 12 women can harvest a cassava farm in 20 days. How long will it take 7 women to do the same work? Now, this is the question. If 12 women could spend 20 days to finish a particular job, now we are now using 7 women and they are all working at the same rate. What do you think? Are they going to take a shorter time or a longer time? 20 people doing one work. Now, lesser people are now doing it. Are they going to spend more time or they spend less time? So the right answer is that they will spend more time. That is number one. That is how you spot if a particular question is on inverse relation or direct relation. Direct proportion. Sorry, it's inverse proportion or direct proportion. Hope I'm making sense. So from here now we can see that this question is on what? Inverse, because as the number of women has reduced to 7 from 12, so that means that they are going to spend more days to finish the work. Let's say, for instance, in a room now, a man will sweep that room within 5 minutes. Now, if you now have more men, like 3 men, are they going to spend the same amount of time, or less time, or more time? Because they are now free. So they will just pick the portion. You sweep this side, you sweep this side, you sweep this side, right? Within 1 minute they will finish it. That's the reality. So which means the more people you have doing something, the lesser time taking. So if you are looking at the distance and time, in this case, distance and time, if it's distance and time, that is proportion, direct proportion. But we are looking at people and time, right? The people and time. So it's going to be what? Inverse proportion. So let's look at the question now. 12 women, solution in this case. Solution. So that is number one question. 12 women equals, they are going to spend 20 days. 20 days, right? So one woman will spend how many days? Because the woman is working the work of how many women? 12 women. So that will be 12 multiplied by what? 20. So 12 times 20, that is what? 240 days. So the woman will what? We use 240 days to complete this same job. Right? If each one of them work at the same rate. Now, but the question is asking, how long will it take 7 women to do the same work? 7 women to do the same work. Let me use 6 women. Let's use 8 women. 8 women rather. 8 women. So 8 women now. So because how are we going to get the number of days 8 women will spend? That is, these 8 women will now share the work done by one woman. They will share, we have 240 days. Let's share it to what? Into 8. That means 240 divided by what? 8. So this gives us 30 days. So 8 divided by 24 is what? 3. I believe this is very clear. We'll still look at one more example so that we'll be able to understand it better. So what we use there is what? Unitary method. So that you not make mistake here. Unitary method is what we're going to do. First, find one unit. The value of 1 before we get the next value. Alright. This is example 2. It takes 20 men 60 days to complete a building work. 20 men will spend 60 days. How many days would it take 15 men, assuming they are working at the same rate? You can see now that we are now reducing the men from 20 to what? 15. Are they going to spend less days or more days? They will spend more days, because you cannot say that because we have reduced them from 20 to 15 and they are working at the same rate. They will spend more days. So the lesser the number of men, the more days they will spend to complete the job. That's what it means. So that's how you also pinpoint if this question is on indirect proportion or what, direct proportion. Is that clear? So let's now interpret. So 20 men, that's question number 2. We spend what? 60 days. Right. So 1 man we spend how many days? So the work of 20 men will be done by what? 1 man now. That is 20 times what? Since that will be 20 times what? 60. So which is what? 1,200 what? Days. I believe I'm with you. So 15 men. We now spend, we are going to divide the work done by 1 man by 15 men. So that means 1,200 days divided by 15. So 3 here 5, 3 here 400, right? 5 here 1, 5 here 80. So which means they are going to spend 80 what? Days. So 15 men will what? Spend what? 80 days. To what? To complete the job. To complete the job. The building job. So that is that on direct and indirect or inverse proportion. So the last part of this video is what we call reciprocal. Is what we call reciprocal. So let's look at reciprocal. And the next one is reciprocal. Reciprocal. So when we talk about reciprocal of any number apart from 0, we remove 0 out of it, is 1 divided by the number. Let me repeat myself again. Reciprocal of any number is that number 1 divided by the number. So we can say reciprocal of any number is 1 divided by the number. Divided by the number. 1 divided by the number. So if the question asks you, what is the reciprocal of 2? If the question is, what is the reciprocal of 2? If the question is, what is the reciprocal of 2? Example now. What is the reciprocal? Is the reciprocal of 2. So that means it is what? 1 divided by 2. Right? 1 divided by 2. That's the meaning of reciprocal. So let's look at some examples that is more. There are examples that are more than this. So let's look at them. Let's look at these examples now. So reciprocal of 8 will be what? 1 over 8. Because this one is straightforward. Now let's look at number 2. Reciprocal of this means 1 divided by this, which is 2 all number 1 all over 2. Are we going to leave it like this? No. So we're going to have 1 divided by, that is 5 over 2. So don't forget, this is be 1 over 1 times 2 over 5. So that is what? 2 all over what? 5 is the answer. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is what? 5. So which means reciprocal of 2.5 is what? 2 over 5. Right. Now, the third one, which is C, reciprocal of 5 over 11. So the reciprocal of this one will just be 11 over 5. We just change the fraction. We change denomination and the numerator, because if you have 1 divided by 5 over 11, we can actually have it as 1 over 1 times 11 over what? 5, which is 1 times 11 is 11. 1 times 5 is what? 5, as you can see. So we cannot leave our answer like that. That would be what? 2 all over 1 all over what? 5. 2 all over 1 all over what? 5. Hope this is very clear. Now the last part, which is the decimal. How do we do that? The last part. The last part, reciprocal of 0.25 means we're going to reciprocal of 0.5 will be 1 all over what? 0.25. But before you do this, 0.25, change it to fraction, which is 25 over what? 100, which is 1 over what? 4. So which means reciprocal of 1 over 4 is equal to what? 4. Is that clear? I've explained that right now. So because 1 over 4, that means it is what? 1 divided by 1 all over 4, which is 1 times what? 4 all over 1, which is what? 4. You understand? So that is what we refer to as reciprocal. There's no question they can ask you. And if the question asks you that sometimes the question will come from the back, that what is if the reciprocal of something is okay. Now this one is the reciprocal of this is 4. So if the reciprocal of a number is 4, if the reciprocal of a number is 4, find the number. So how are you going to do it? So the first thing that let the number be what? Let's say x. Right? What is its reciprocal? 1 all over x. And it is what? 4. Find the number. So what are you going to do? This is 1 over 1. Then when you multiply, you have 4x equals to 1. That is x equals to 1 all over 4. So which is what? 0.25. Come back to the question. So it can come in that way, you still get the same answer. The most important aspect of math is that for you to understand concept, try to understand concept, not how to solve it. The first thing you need to know, you understand first in mathematics is the concept. Once the concept is understood, there's no way the question will be twisted that you'll not be able to solve it. So that is the reality about maths. So, and this is where we're going to stop in this video. So we'll move to the next topic in the next video. Thank you very much. If you find this video useful and helpful, don't forget to what? To give us thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe now and what? Share the video with your friends. Bye for now. We'll meet in the next class.